Hi guys, welcome back to tonight's episode of Director's Chat. Today we're looking at the action of Tony Scott, so let's get into it. Welcome back to the next episode of Director's Chat. Talk about director. Today we're talking about Tony Scott. Before I do, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell because algorithm. So then we're gonna go through Tony Scott's movies. We're gonna go through the guitar for them. So let's start. So in 1983 we had The Hunger. This was erotic horror film. This was Tony Scott's first movie. This stars Catherine Deneuve, David Bowie, and Susan Sarandon, and it made $10.2 million, and it received mixed reviews. The film has secured a cult following with the goth subculture in the years since its release. This movie is okay. It says The Hunger. Then in 1986 we had Top Gun. This was an action drama film, and it stars Tom Cruise, Kerry McGillis, Val Kilmer, Anthony Edwards, and Tom Skerritt. It made $357.3 million, a $50 million budget. Received mixed reviews from critics, but despite this, its visual effects and soundtrack were universally acclaimed. And it was the highest grossing domestic film of 1986, and it maintained its popularity over the years and earned an IMAX 3D release in 2013. Now, there was a sequel for Top Gun Maverick released 36 years later. That one was not directed by Tony Scott, where Cruise and Kilmer reprised their roles, and which surpassed the original film both critically and commercially. Unlike this film, I honestly think Top Gun Maverick is better, so it's Top Gun. And then in 1987, we have Beverly Hills Cop 2, which was a buddy cop action comedy film. It's a sequel to the 1984 film Beverly Hills Cop and the second installment in the Beverly Hills Cop film series. It stars Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, Judge and Prochnow, Ronnie Cox, John Ashton, Bridget Nelson, Alan Garfield, and Paul Reiser. It made $276.6 million, $27 million budget. It received mixed reviews. However, the film was a box office success, despite making less money than the first one. So this movie is okay. It's not as good as the first one, so it's Beverly Hills Cop 2. Then in 1990, we had Revenge. And this was a romantic action thriller. It starred Kevin Costner, Anthony Quinn, Madeleine Stowe, and Sally Kirkland, and it made $50 million, $22 million budget. This movie it's okay. So that is Revenge. And then also in 1990 we had Days of Thunder, which was a sports action drama film. It starred Tom Cruise, Robert Duvall, Andy Quaid, Nicole Kidman, Carrie Elves, and Michael Rooker. It made $157.9 million, a $60 million budget. I received mixed reviews. He praises racing sequences, Hans score, and performances of Cruise and Duvall, but criticizes his lack of originality, screenplay, and similarities to Top Gun. So this movie is fine. So Days of Thunder. Then in 1991, we had The Last Boy Scout, which was a buddy action comedy film. It saw Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, Chelsea Field, Noble Willington, Taylor Negron, and Daniel Harris, and it made $114.5 million on a $43 million budget, and it was fine. So that's Last Boy Scout. Then in 1993, we had True Romance. Released in the Philippines as Breakaway. It's a romantic crime film. It stars Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, Gary Oldman, Brad Pitt, and Christopher Walken. Made $12.6 million, $12.5 million budget. Though initially a box office failure, the film received positive reviews, with critics praising the dialogue, characters, and offbeat style, earned it a cult following. It has come to be one of Scott's best films and one of the best from 1990. I think this is probably my favorite Tony Scott movie. So that's True Romance. And then in 1995, we had Crimson Tide, which was an action thriller film, and it starred Denzel Washington, Gene Hackman, George DeZanda, Viggo Mortensen, James Gandolfini, and Matt Craven. It made $157.4 million, $53 million budget. So she positive reviews. So Crimson Tide. At 1996, we had The Fan, which was a sports psychological thriller film based on the 1995 novel by Peter Abrahams. It starred Robert De Niro, Wesley Snipes, John Leguizamo, Benedict De Toro, and Alan Barkin. It made $18.6 million, $55 million budget. It received negatives because it was a box office flop. Over time, direction, performance, and soundtrack were praised. So that's fine movie. Then in 1998, we had Enemy of the State, which is a political action thriller film. It stars Will Smith, Gene Hackman, John Voight, Regina King, Lauren Dean, Jacob Bussey, Scott Caan, Barry Pepper, and Gabriel Byron. It made $250.8 million, $90 million budget. It garnered positive reviews from critics, with many praising the writing and direction, as well as the chemistry between Smith and Hackman. The Emmy State great movie. Then in 2001, we had Spy Game, which was an action thriller film. It starred Robert Redford, Brad Pitt, Catherine McCormack, Stephen Dillon, and Laurie Brightman. It made $143 million on $115 million budget, and it received positive reviews. So yes, that's Spy Game. And in 2004, we had Man on Fire, which was an action thriller film based on the 1980 novel, the same number, A.G. Quinnell. It stars Denzel Washington, Dakota Fanning, Christopher Walken, Giancarlo Gianni, Radha Mitchell, Mark Anthony, Michael Tickerton, and Mickey Rourke. It made $130.3 million, $70 million budget. It received mixed reviews. That's Man on Fire. Then in 2005, we had Domino, which was an action thriller film. And it starred Keira Knightley, Mickey Rourke, Edgar Ramirez, Delroy Lindo, Mina Sabari, Lucy Liu, Christopher Walken. Made $23.5 million, $50 million budget. The film was dedicated to Harvey. It was dedicated to Harvey, who died at age 35 from overdose on fentanyl, June 27, 2005, a few months before the film was released, and it was actually inspired by it. So in 2006 we had Deja Vu, which was a science fiction action film, and it starred Denzel Washington, Val Kilmer, Paula Patton, Bruce Greenwood, Adam Goldberg, Jim Caviezel. $180.6 million, $75 million budget. Received mixed reviews. So that's Deja Vu, and then in 2009 we had The Taking of Pelham 123, which was an action thriller film. It is the third film adaptation on John Godey's novel of the same name, following the 1974 theatrical film and the 1998 television film. It stars Denzel Washington, John Travolta, John Turturro, Louis Guzman, Michael Spoli, James Gandolfini. It made $150.2 million, $210 million budget. It received mixed reviews, so that's and then finally in 2010 we had Unstoppable, which was a disaster action thriller film. It is based on the real CSX A888 incident, and it starred Denzel Washington, Chris Pine, and Rosario Dawson. Made $167.8 million on a $85-$110 million budget. It received positive reviews, and sadly, Tony Scott will pass away on 19th of August 2012 at the age of 68, making Unstoppable his last movie. So yeah, that's Tony Scott. I don't think he's made a bad movie. I like pretty much all his movies. That's the action world of Tony Scott. So guys, thank you for watching my videos. For my next one, bye.